Okay, I think we are live here in Facebook and on YouTube. It looks like we are up and running. Sorry, you guys, it was my phone did not want to spin to the correct orientation. So that's why I had to start a little bit early today just to make sure everything was working. Okay, let's make sure we actually are live. Okay, it looks like we're good to go over on YouTube. And let's check Facebook land here. Okay, it looks like everything is up and going in Facebook as well. Perfect. I like it. I'm gonna try to zoom in just a little bit more there on YouTube to try to get, on Facebook, try to get our visual looking a little bit better there. I think we're good. Okay, good. I see you guys popping in here. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Cheryl. Hello, Frida. Welcome, you guys. So, hello, everyone. We are here for another fabulous Make It Monday. My name is Danny Garola, also known as Pink Barn Stamper. I am so glad you guys have all decided to spend your evening with me. I am going to be featuring the Delicate Pines again. I know I did Delicate Pines last week, but I am loving this set so much that I decided that I'm going to do it 2 weeks in a row, which is something I have never done, but it's an extra bonus for you guys who have this set, because now you get to see even more fabulous cards being made with this set. So go ahead and drop a hello in the comments for me. Let me know where you're watching me from. I love to see all you guys coming in here from around the country. We are going to have so much fun tonight. Can't wait to share these cards with you guys. If you are new to my channel, either here on YouTube or you're watching me over on Facebook for the first time, please subscribe or follow me, and that will let you guys know when we are going live. Each week we get together and we make fantastic cards, paper crafts. I do fun folds every once in a while. So it's kind of a place that you can kind of get all of your paper crafting kind of taught to you, I guess you would say. Not that you have to be taught how to paper craft, but you know what? I like to give tips and tricks here and there for you guys to, maybe it's something you haven't seen and it's something new that might spark your interest when it comes to some of the paper crafting. So we are going to create the 3 cards tonight. Let me go ahead and share with you guys the cards that we're going to be doing. So this first one here is more of the traditional pine colors for these snowflakes. I've decided to kind of stick with those greens in there. And then the next one is kind of a non-traditional pine look to it. Kind of those bold, bright colors. But I think this turned out fantastic. So we're going to make that one. And then this one is kind of the star of the show. I absolutely love this card. The sparkle, the shine, using Coastal Cabana. Not a traditional Christmas color, but it kind of reminds me of, the frost. I know when you typically think of Coastal Cabana, especially when you hear the name of it, it makes you think that you're on vacation somewhere in the Caribbean, right? Well, I decided to use this color for this fun Christmas winter card. So I can't wait to show you guys that one. I actually, on my team meeting last week, we had show and tell, and I showed that card off, letting them know that they got a sneak peek of my upcoming Make It Monday card. So we are going to be making these fabulous 3 cards today. We're going to have a lot of fun going through these with, again, the tips and the tricks on how to manipulate paper, do different things with paper, and just come out with a gorgeous product at the end. So just to let you guys know, I'm going to be walking you guys through step by step these projects. Now, when you place an order with me this week through the 21st, which is Sunday, and you spend $35 or more in my online store, I will be sending you this card kit. Now, it will look like this, and they will each have their own individual envelopes for you to create your cards, as I'm going to be showing you guys today. So it's going to come with your cut cardstock, any designer series paper that needs to come in this. If I've used any extra and beyond the delicate pines, I will actually add those die cut pieces into your kit. So you're not being stuck without anything to complete your project. So for instance, just to show you the 2 circles that are on this, I will actually pre-cut those for you, so you will have those handy to create this beautiful card. Now the ribbon that I am using on a couple of these cards is retired ribbon, but I know a lot of you guys have ribbon around, but just know that I do send the pieces of ribbon that you need to create your cards. The only thing that I do not send is I do not send any of the little embellishments, because I know a lot of you guys have little embellishments on hand, but I will tell you that I do highly, highly, highly recommend you guys buying these beautiful, these are called the faceted snowflakes. If you need a new holiday, I guess you'd say like bling, these are definitely going to be for you. They come in silver, pretty peacock, and cherry cobbler, and they are fantastic. Go perfect with this delicate pines. Now, if you buy the full suite collection, it is called the elegant pine snowflake suite collection. And then you're going to get everything. You're going to get the paper, you're going to get the bundle, which is the stamps and the dies. This is a huge die set. Also, there is 22 dies in this set. They are wonderful, buildable, different kinds of pine, snowflake, wintry kind of scene. And then you've got the stamp set as well. This does also have a matching shaded spruce and gold ribbon. Now, I have not used the ribbon on any of my projects. I don't know why. None of the projects that I made kind of required that thick of a ribbon. So where are you going to find this fabulous set here? You're going to find it in our online exclusives. So what does that mean? That means it is exclusively online. Go figure, right? So in other words, it's not going to be in any of our catalogs or anything like that. You're going to have to go to my online store, shopdannygarola.com, hit that shop button, and it will take you right into my store. If you just type in either the suite collection or the bundle, it will bring up, even if you type in the word pine, it will bring up this set for you. And then it will also show you all the coordinating product that go with that as well. Hello, Kay. And I love that Stampin' Up has now done that on our website, is they have connected the coordinating products right there on that shopping page. When you look something up, it's going to show you all the things that match. If there's a suite collection, you'll see it there. And then if you don't want to have to worry about adding each individual item, you simply click that suite collection, and then that whole product comes all together in that bundle. And so then you're only worrying about one suite collection number. Okay. So let's jump into our promotions, and then I'll talk about life as we're going here, just because, not to say that there's a lot going on, but this week has been a little heavy. We've had some, disturbing things going on in our country. And I mean, it is what it is. Not like we can change anything. But it's kind of sad nonetheless. But we are here to do some stamping and not worrying about the country at the moment. That's why we're here, right? That is why I like to craft, because then I don't have to worry about the heaviness of, anything that is going on in our country or whatever. I can just sit down with some paper, have fun with it, stamp away. Then my brain becomes craft mode. And then I'm thinking about what colors coordinate, what papers go together. So you just kind of get out of the realm of the world and then into the realm of crafting. And so that is what we are here to do today. So we have the new paper pumpkin. This is called Cozy Christmas. Now, this is available through October 10th. This is our October kit. It says it's going to come with flocked details, that looks like stitching. Let me get the little detail here so we can kind of look and see. It says that this creates heartfelt Christmas cards with classic charm and flocked accents. So this will be a fabulous kit. And the way Paper Pumpkin is, it is an all-in-one kit. So that means it comes with all the things that you need to create the cards. And it looks like this kit is going to make 9 cards. So that's going to really be helpful for those of you who don't have all the things to create all of your Christmas cards. If you subscribe to this kit, then it's a great way to get yourself a head start on your Christmas cards. It says it's going to make 3 each of 3 designs with 9 coordinating envelopes. It comes with pre-cut paper pieces with soft stitched look flocking. Woo, you might mess up on that word. Shiny red sequins embellishments. And it says that it coordinating with box delivers even more holiday magic. So the good thing about Paper Pumpkin boxes is when they come like decorated like this, you could always put a piece of white paper right here and do some stamping on that. And you can actually use this as a gift just in itself. You could put some pre-made cards in there. I know when my grandmother was alive, she loved receiving my cards, and she always knew that I always gave it to her before Christmas because I knew she needed to mail her cards out. But that was part of her kind of like Christmas gift, is I would give her a box of pre-made cards in it and envelopes. So she, with her arthritis and stuff and her hands were getting really bad, there was no way she could sit down and make a card. But this way she had those cards in hand, ready to go in the mail, just slap a stamp on there, write her sentiment, and then it was ready to go right out in the mail. So kits, these Paper Pumpkin kits are wonderful. We also, since it is the beginning of our new quarter for October, November, and December, we have a brand new coordinating add-on. This is called the Abundant Joy Dies. Now this is while supplies last. This you will find in my online store. This has some fabulous dies in it. They're really stepping up the game on these dies from when they first came out, started doing the dies with the quarterly Paper Pumpkins. They've really, done a fantastic job of giving us a well-rounded die set that we could then use not only on our Paper Pumpkins, but these are one of those dies that you can use pretty much with any project. The little leaf things, those can be standalone. The word joy can be standalone. Maybe that's somebody's name that you know, and you can actually customize their card. Some more flowers with little stamen here. And then you've got a tag. And who doesn't need a tag, especially Christmas gifts, presents, birthday gifts, all those kinds of things. You have a tag right here that you can turn into anything. We have World Card Making Day coming up October 4th. I have definitely already registered for this event. Now, just know that this event, there is a kit that you can purchase in the online store. It's called Heartfelt. Maybe one of you guys can yell it out to me. I think it's called Heartfelt. Oh, I know it's on my blog. Hold on, let me go check my blog really quick and I can tell you exactly the name of that. So if you go to my blog, pinkbarnstamper.com, you can see all the details for all the things that I am talking about. When it comes to the World Card Making Day, I do have a blog post put up, and the kit that actually coordinates with this is called Handmade and Heartfelt Kit. So you're going to want to purchase that ahead of time before we have the October 4th event. They are going to show some different ways of using that fantastic kit in our World Card Making Day. All right, mystery stamping. We have mystery stamping coming up this week on the 17th. So I will be live over on Facebook in my private group, Pink Barn Stampers group. So if you are not a part of that group and you want to join us for the free mystery stamping, please go over there and join that group. There's just a couple of questions. Now, I know a lot of people have asked me, hey, why haven't I gotten in the group? Well, it's typically because you don't answer the questions. And to keep that group as safe as possible, I ask everyone to just answer those few little questions there. I don't get very detailed into your lives. So it's not like I'm asking for your social security numbers or anything. No, it's just, what's your favorite color? Are you going to, read the rules? And they're just simple questions that all you have to do is just fill that out. And it just lets me know that you've agreed to abide by the rules. And then we can get you in there so you can join us on the 17th. If you want to know more details about that, you can, again, go to my blog, pinkbarnstamper.com, and you can, on the right-hand side, there's a little column that says categories. If you scroll down and go to mystery stamping, you're going to see the current mystery stamping for September, and you can read all about that. There's actually a link to that group there, so you can get in and get yourself prepared. There is also, I've already put the supplies list on there as well, so you can get your supplies ready to go so you can join us live. But just know that you do have a full week after the live on the 17th, so you have through the 24th to get your cards submitted into that group so we can see what you've created using the layout that I give you guys. So for this week, we have a birthday. Shout out to Karen Hall. She has a birthday on the 17th. So happy birthday, Karen. Okay, you guys, we are going to go ahead and get into these fabulous cards tonight. So let me get out my cards here. Absolutely, Lisa. I love the untraditional Christmas colors as well. That's kind of why I chose to keep going with this kit, because when you are not the, well, yeah, kit, but when you see this bundle, you see a lot of the pines, you see things that you would typically, in the forest, you're going to see the different shades of green. And I really wanted to kind of think outside of the box with this wonderful set. So that's why I have chose some kind of different colors to kind of just take this up and beyond. So the last week, the cards that we made were more of the traditional. So last week we made this one here, which is that traditional greens when you think of the pines and that kind of stuff. This one, I did do non-traditional. I did the petal pink for that one and the basic gray. And then this card here is still more of kind of the traditional with the greens. There is some blue in there, but nonetheless, today we've really kind of changed, or for this week, I've really changed things up for you guys. So let's go ahead and do our first card here. So our first card is kind of the traditional pine look for this one, but that's okay. It does still, you know, it does this bundle justice, I will say. So I have decided to use the gray granite with this, and so I guess gray granite may not be a Christmassy color, but this is 8.5 by 5.5. We're gonna score this at 4.25. Okay, my other pieces are already there and ready for us. I am bringing in a designer series paper. Now this paper is from our fall. What is this called? This is called the Autumn Toil. Toile. That word really gets me. I have decided to use the paper that has the little pumpkin patch kind of look on the back side, and on the other side it is more of a pattern paper here. So this is gorgeous. This whole paper pack is just beautiful. You've got some greens in there. You've got the Cajun craze. So you should really take a look at this paper as well if you are looking to make your fall cards. Okay, so what we need to do, this piece here is 4.25 by 5.5. So it is the same size as our card base front. So I'm going to go ahead and on that score, I'm just going to give that a good crease to hold my card down. And then I'm going to move that aside. I do need a scrap of white for our stamping. Now let me see. I do need to grab my, I think I used Mossy Meadow. I have a really hard time telling Mossy Meadow from Old Olive. So we are going to use that along with Shaded Spruce. Geez Louise, I just shoved my ink pad into my shirt. I think it is Old Olive that I used. Make sure I didn't ruin my shirt, but that's okay. All right, so now we need to take our extra large snowflake here. And first we're going to use Old Olive. Who just said that they ordered the Halloween? Oh, Kimberly ordered the Halloween one because it can be used. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The colors that they've come out with this year, I have to say, are pretty fantastic. That Halloween paper, if it's the, and I'm pretty sure it's that one that you're talking about. Where is my Halloween paper? Spooky. Where is my paper? What the heck? It should be sitting right here. Well, I don't know where my Halloween paper is now that you mention that. Oh, maybe it's that, no? I don't know where I have misplaced my Halloween paper, but I think you're probably referring to the spooky paper. Yeah, I don't know. Now I have to go looking for that when we're done here, because I don't know where I put my Halloween paper. But beautiful, beautiful paper. Okay, so we have our large snowflake done, and now we need to use our kind of our medium size snowflake. So then there's this one here, which is this one. We're going to do 2 of those also in the Old Olive. Oh, you got the bundle. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there's a couple of different Halloween bundles. I didn't get the other one, and now I kind of kick myself and wish I would have. It's the one that has that really neat banner in it, and it has some little spider webs that you can cut out and put on the sides. And I didn't get that one because Halloween seems like it happens so quickly, and I really liked the little treat bags that came with the other one. So that's why I went ahead and did that one instead of the other one. But I'm still contemplating, but I'm like, oh my gosh, Halloween's going to be here before I even know it. I don't need 2 of those sets because I don't really send out Halloween cards per se, but I do like to have the little treat bags on hand just in case, you know, any of the little trick-or-treaters or anybody, some kids in the neighborhood. I know they're getting pretty old now, but sometimes you might see a few or whatever. But out here, pretty rural, we don't get, I mean, unless it's somebody we know that will come by the house. But other than that, I just kind of like to have those. Sometimes I take them if we have doctor's appointments. I'll take a couple of little treat bags into some of the doctors that we have. Okay, so I'm going to be using this one here, and then we're going to be using this one as well. Both of these small little snowflakes, and I'm going to be using that in Shaded Spruce. Now this one I'm going to be placing right in the open space of the large snowflake, like so. And then that other one right here, we're going to be putting in our 2 medium snowflakes. So just lining that up in those white spaces. I don't know if it's the weather change or what, but man, I have been so stinking tired. And yeah, I get it. We have a puppy, and puppies, when you're potty training and doing all that, yeah, they keep you awake. But you know what? She's actually been doing really well, and she doesn't wake me up. But I think it's the weather change, honestly. Oh, look, I have this green everywhere from when I dropped it. Ugh, look at that. Oh my Lord. What is happening right now? I need to clean this mess up a minute. You know, sometimes just have ink everywhere. What in the heck is happening? Ugh. Because if I don't clean it up, I'm going to forget about it, and then I'm going to stick a card or a piece of white in there and just make a horrendous mess. So if I don't clean it up while I'm thinking about it, it will catch me later. And I don't want it destroying any of our projects. So there we go. All right, so now we're going to also, in the dies here, we have got these little, they're like little clusters of like holly berries, or, you know, the berries that go on our plants. So we're going to actually die cut those out of white as well. So let me grab, first I want to take a pair of snips, and I'm going to cut this piece of paper down because we don't really need all this extra when we're die cutting to get in the way. Now I've got, looks like I've been friends with the Grinch with my green fingers. Oh my Lord. This thing seems like it gets heavier and heavier every time I use it. Okay, maybe I'm just getting weaker in old age. Okay. But yeah, I think it might be kind of the weather change. Not that it's like really changed a lot here. We're still pretty warm. But we have had some pretty cloudy skies. Haven't seen much in the way of any rain, but we have had some sprinkles here and there. It actually, right before I went live, it was actually sprinkling. I could hear it hitting the roof of the barn here, that tin roof. You can really hear a lot of the rain hitting. So there was just a couple of little sprinkles, and so it didn't last long, as you can tell. Otherwise, you guys would be hearing it. But it has been a little bit cooler. Like my husband said when he got up for work this morning, he gets up about 2:30, 3 o'clock to go to work, and that's a.m. He said it was actually cooler outside than it was in our house. And our air conditioning in the house is set for 78 degrees, just because that's what's comfortable for us. I know some people come over and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot in here. How do you deal with it being that warm? Well, because that's what we set it to, and that's what we like. Okay, let's get these out of here. But I still can feel a change in the, just in the air, I guess, the feel of it becoming fall. Now, it's not like we have many trees that we can watch the change of the leaves, like a lot of you guys, where you have a lot of the beautiful trees that change colors. We don't really have that here unless you head up to the north, Arizona. Okay, let's cut out this one also. But I've been getting, you know, my decent, normal, you know, sleep as usual, and nothing else in life has changed. So I'm assuming it's got to be the change in the seasons. Because that's what I was just telling my husband last night. I said, you know, it just seems very weird that I'm just, all of a sudden, I'm constantly just kind of bogged down, just feeling tired. So, and I'm not getting sick. I don't feel any different any other way. So that's what I told him. I said, it must just be the weather. We'll just blame it on the weather. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to take all 3 of our snowflakes. I'm going to pop up the big one and then have the smaller ones do more of a hangover, like so. And then we've got a little, this is about, it's a little bit wider. I'm going to say it's about 5/8 of an inch wide. And then it is about 3.5 inches long. This is shaded spruce. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to grab Celebrate the Season, and we're going to stamp that on there in our Versamark. Now I do need to grab my white embossing powder for this. Where is that? I'm gonna grab my little bag of powder here. Gonna stamp right in the center of that, like so, using Versamark. So our powder will stick to that. Now I gotta find my tweezers. There they are. Hello, Peggy. You've been a busy lady. I see you're creating tons of cards. I love seeing all the pictures that you've been adding. Oops. Did you guys see what I just did? I stuck my finger on that when I was closing that lid. Okay, let's not do that again. Okay, I'm gonna grab my heat tool. And we're going to heat set that embossing powder. I think my AC is cooling it off, but I better hold it a little bit closer. Okay. So this week, because of me feeling, the fall season upon us, I have been on this whole little journey of learning how to make sourdough starter. So I have been on the internet pretty much all week long finding out how to get the sourdough starter started. So my husband's favorite bread is sourdough. And so he buys probably a loaf a week. And so he likes to have it in the morning when he gets ready for work for breakfast. And so I was like, you know what? I've been, doing a lot of studying about the different grains and the different flours that there are and reading a lot about store-bought flour. And so I told him, I said, so there's this really good deal on a, what's it called? A grain mill that I have been looking at and that I really want to purchase. And there is some grains. Now, I think the company is called Paulson's and it's up in Washington, but I've always kind of watched their bags of grains and I've always been on kind of their website reading about their grains. And so I decided that I was going to order a grain mill and some grains so we can have some fresh grains for bread, fresh flour, all that kind of stuff. Because again, I've been kind of reading about the science behind fresh milled flour versus buying store-bought, and how store-bought has a bunch of different, even if you buy the organic flours, sometimes they have to add the additives to it because of preservation, to keep it shelf stable. So I'm excited. My sourdough starter, I'm on day 3 today of getting it started and it's already bubbling, and that's one of the good things. So again, when I was reading, they were talking about different temperatures in your home that really help with the process. And so I was like, wow, what better place is, because we live in a very warm climate, that it's perfect weather down here to do our sourdough. And they were saying that sometimes it can take over a week for you to get any kind of bubbling action, depending on, if it's cool in your home or whatever. So to see that it was already starting to bubble yesterday and starting to get that, the rise of it, I was just ecstatic. I was like, yes, it actually was accomplished. Woohoo! Because, it kind of becomes a science experiment, and my science experiment, I'm the mad scientist, it is actually working. Not that it's very complicated. I know a lot of people do sourdough. So now I've been watching all these recipes for when you start doing your discards for your sourdough. And I made some tortillas with some of the discard yesterday. So it's been a fun process, and I've never made tortillas before, and they turned out actually pretty good. I made some homemade chicken noodle soup last night, and we had tortillas with it because my husband loves chicken and dumplings. That's probably one of his favorite soups. So I told him, I'm not making dumplings. I said, so you're going to have to be content with the tortillas that I made. And he was actually, I mean, I was really surprised. He was like, you know what? He goes, the tortillas, when you dip them in the soup, they get really kind of doughy. He said, it really reminds me of a dumpling. Score. I was like, all right, that's a win then. He likes it. Yeah, I'm hoping that I don't get like overwhelmed with it. I don't think so, just because, I mean, the hard part of it is doing the whole sourdough starter. So I think once you get that established, it sounds like from making bread, you pretty much, you have to do the fold and all that kind of stuff. The, what's it called? The pull and fold. I as long as I don't have to knead it, because that's what kills my hands, is having to do kneading. And from what it looks like with sourdough, there's not a lot of kneading required. They do say that you can add a little bit of like whole wheat flour to it, or like red berry, hard red berries, the different kinds of wheats in there. And it really adds some really good flavor to it. I don't like cooking, to be completely honest with you. I'm not a baker. I don't like baking. I don't like being in the kitchen. It's just not my jam. But I do like science. And so I feel that it is kind of just like a science experiment. And if I can make my family something that's healthier-ish, I know that's not a word, but if I can make them healthy, happy and healthy with food, then you know what? I got to give it a try. So that's kind of the little journey that we are on right now. So I'll let you know how that goes. Because it may be a complete flop. I don't know. Oh, yeah, when you were camping as a kid and you could hear it. Absolutely. Yeah, that's when we're in the RV, we can hear, well, when we were traveling last year, we really hit some wind up in Southern California by, where were we? We were up on Route 66. Where was that? Or no, not Orlando, or Orland. Orland was up north, California. It was Newberry, California. We stayed in a little campground there. Really, really cute campground. It was called the Oasis. Just like kind of a fluke thing off the side of the freeway. Just an adorable campground. I would totally go back there again. It was like pure desert. You're up in the higher areas of kind of like Palm Springs. You're in that high desert. And there literally was an oasis. They had like a little pond built with all these little ducks in there and some really neat trees. But it got super windy. So we heard the sand hitting the side of the RV. But when we were up in Oregon, it did rain and you could hear, it's not the same as a tin roof, but yeah, you could definitely hear the rain. And it's really kind of a neat sound, and it's just kind of a soothing kind of sound also. Okay, so now that we have laid our snowflakes on there, I have cut the overhang. I'm just going to add a couple little dots of glue to the centers of these. And then I'm going to grab my take your pick tool, and then with our little white berry-ish, I'm just going to lay those straight on the center there. But the campground that we stayed at in outside of San Francisco, or not San Francisco, Sacramento, it was probably a couple of hours outside of, no, maybe it was only like 45 minutes. But anyways, it was going north past Sacramento, heading towards Oregon. There's a cute little town called Orland. And we stayed in a campground there. Again, super cute little campground. So we've always said that those would be the places that we would stop as long as we take that same route. Those would be the campgrounds that would be kind of our go-tos because they were clean, they were safe, and so that's kind of what you want. Okay, so we are going to place this card, or the front, right on your dad was a scientist. You flunked. I just like to see chemical reactions. I guess it's not necessarily that I like science. I mean, I guess out of all the subjects, I couldn't stand history. History was not my thing. Social studies, I mean, I like learning about other cultures and that kind of stuff. But as far as years and knowing the different like things, the stages that happened in life, yeah, I'm not good at that kind of stuff. Now my husband, he's a walking encyclopedia, and it's kind of gross, but whatever. His brain can retain that kind of stuff. Mine can't. But I could remember things like you don't mix, you know, certain chemicals together because they make a chemical reaction that can, you know, like ammonia and bleach. You don't mix those together, and you know, just different goofy things like that that were more my jam than the history. And it's not that I didn't care for math growing up, but math wasn't my forte either. So science, I would say, was probably my more go-to as far as enjoying certain classes in school. And I guess it all depends on, you know, the teacher who's teaching the class, because I guess any class you could probably dislike or like, as long as you have a, not to say not a good teacher, but one that's kind of got some humor to go along with that class. I'm thinking I might want to do this at 3/4. My history teacher in junior high was very boring. So maybe that's why I never liked history. And same with high school. High school, they never made it fun. So as when I'm doing homeschool for my kids, I always try to, you know, find videos or talk about things in history that to make it a little bit more fun for the kids, or have them do some kind of hands-on project or like a lap book, just so they're not just sitting there going, Bueller, 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 anyone? You know what I'm talking about, right? You guys have all seen Ferris Bueller. Don't let me down on that one. Yep, too smart for me too. Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to do just a little 3/4 of an inch strip in the inside, and I think we're going to do celebrate the season. It's the most magical time of the year would be good, or warmest winter wishes. Either one of those would be good. I think I'm going to do the smaller one, the warmth and winter wishes in the inside of that. If I can find a block here. Nope, it's not going to work. This will work. Okay, let's use our shaded spruce. Now I will say, making sourdough starter, I don't know why I turned that, but sourdough starter, there's really, I mean, flour and water. That's it. Just do, I mean, I'm trying 2 different batches to see which one I get the better kind of bubbling with, I guess you would say, to see which one gets the better reaction from them. But they both actually seem to be doing the same, even though in the start I did one had a lot more flour versus water, and it was a little bit thicker. And then the other one was 1-to-1 ratio. But now they're both doing equally as good. So I guess it doesn't really, there's not really much like measuring behind it. Other videos that I have been watching and other bloggers and stuff say that, you know what, as long as you get it in there and you get that pancakey like consistency, that you don't really need to do measurements. But from most of it, I am hearing that like a 1-to-1 ratio to begin with is best until the fermentation starts happening, and then you have to start feeding it. Then you want to add more flour versus the water. But yeah, that's where the science behind it comes in. Oh, he was a chemist. So he was like Walter White. Did he make meth? No, I'm just kidding. My son always says that he wants to be a chemist so he could be like Walter White. He loves that show. What is that show? The character's name is Walter White, and then it's a young kid. Geez Louise. Oh, he would kick me in the teeth if I didn't. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Anyways, hopefully it comes to me. All right, so now we're gonna add some bling to this. He would be like, Mom, you failed if you can't remember the name of that show. Oh, Breaking Bad. That's what it is. Breaking Bad. I've never watched it. My husband and my son love that show. It's not my thing, but yeah, he was a chemist and he made meth in the middle of the desert of, I think, Albuquerque, New Mexico, in an RV. So, okay, there is our first card. So very kind of simple, not a whole heck of a lot of stamping, not like our last week's card where we added a lot of elements. This I just kept kind of simple. I just did the two-tone different colors of stamping on there and just kept it really kind of simple and sweet. So there is card number 1. Okay, so now we're going to do, here we're going to get into some different color combinations. So I'm going to be using Lemon Lime Twist. Now these colors I don't use very often. So it's going to be kind of a shock for you guys to see me use these colors. And it's kind of a different combo, but when you see the process, it actually turns out fantastic. So Lemon Lime Twist, Azure Afternoon, and Pretty Peacock are the colors that I'm going to be using for this card. I've got glue on my finger and it's bugging me. Okay, get out all my little scraps here. And let's get the paper trimmer out because we need to score this. This is 11 by 4 1/4, and we're gonna score this at 5 1/2. Now this is thick basic white. We're gonna go ahead and fold that, give that a good crease. I've got a piece of the Lemon Lime Twist here, and this is going to measure 4 by 5 1/4. So that is going to be my next layer. Then my next piece that I am using, this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So there's just going to be 1/8 of an inch between our focal white and that lemon lime. So I'm going to set that aside because we're going to work with this. I then need a scrap piece of the Azure Afternoon and then some basic white. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use both of the punches, the 1 3/4 and the 2 inch. This is where I said I would be adding these to your kits. So what I want to do is I just want to take just any scrap of paper. You can even use like printer paper if you needed. Let me see if this will work right here. I just come in here with just a scrap like so. Now I tend to try to use a different color, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to use some of my Stamp and Seal, anything that is kind of double-sided but isn't going to like destroy your paper. So then I just come in and I just stick my finger on it a couple of times just to kind of make it where it's not as crazy sticky, but because I don't want it tearing my card front, but just so I can get that to stick on there but still be able to remove that when I need to. So I'm going to place that just right in the center, and I know it might be a little bit hard for you guys to see on camera, but it's just right there in the center. I'm going to be grabbing, we're going to use this stamp here. Now I need to clean this off since we did use that on our last card. We're going to need to clean that one off and both of the smaller ones. And then I also need the tiny little snowflake. Okay. So now with all of our images here, we are going to start with this largest one. So that's the medium size. And we're going to start with our azure. Now I'm going to be stamping right over this circle because when I remove that, when we're done, we're going to have a perfect little circle in the inside. I'm going to place this right up here in this top corner. Then the next one, I'm going to come down here and do down here. And then we're going to go over here. And this one is going to hang off of your paper a little bit on this side. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close that for now. I'm going to grab my lemon lime. And with the more piney looking small, I'm going to bring it in, stamp it in between those three larger ones we just did. And then with this one here that has kind of those little fan, it almost looks like a little feather. Still using lemon lime, I'm going to stamp this in the white spots of the azure. Larger. Aren't these fantastic colors together? Oh, isn't that just gorgeous? Love it. All right, then I'm going to grab my small or tiny, we're gonna call it, and I'm just gonna fill in a couple of little spots around here. Okay, I'm gonna call that good for the moment. We're gonna use Pretty Peacock this time. And Pretty Peacock, I'm just gonna add in a couple of areas. Okay, like that. Then I want to add just a little bit more of that azure on there. So now I'm going to put both of these away. Then we're just going to add some of these in here as well. Okay. That's it. You're just filling in a little bit of that white space there. And then we're going to pull, give that kind of a couple seconds to dry there. Yeah, I don't really mess with lemon lime twist all that often until I do something like this and I'm like, oh my Lord, why have I not been using that color more often? Now, if you want to keep that and use that for something else, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm not going to keep it because we're going to go ahead and move on with this card. All right, I am bringing in the, this is retired. This is called Parakeet Party, if you guys can remember that color that we had a while back. And this is the metallic woven ribbon. Like I said, you will get this in your kit with me this week. And we are just going to simply add just a small little portion of that down the center of our card. So do any of you guys like do any of you guys like scrapbooking? Are any of you guys into the scrapbooking thing? Especially if you've got kids, grandkids, any of that kind of stuff, if you do any kind of scrapbooking. And the only reason why I'm asking, not because I'm trying to be nosy and pry in your lives, but I'm going to be, I think, starting a scrapbook series. And it'll be only a couple of times a month that I will do it. Just making kind of some simple scrapbook layouts with some of our Stampin' Up stuff. And I will probably use my Cricut. I've got these Cricuts. I need to bring them out and I need to start using them. And I have seen some of the cutest, especially like with this snowflakey look, like using headings on your scrapbook layouts using some of the Cricut things. So I thought, you know what? A lot of people have Cricuts sitting in their craft room. Not to say that they all use them, because me being guilty one of those, I don't use it like I should, but that we should incorporate that with some of our scrapbooking. And maybe you do, maybe you don't, but you might be able to start using it. All right, so there we got the 2-inch circle with the azure, and then using the 1 3/4 of an inch, we're just going to do a white circle. And then I'm going to use the Celebrate the Season. And let me clean this because I know we just used this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp Celebrate. We're going to use Pretty Peacock. And I'm just moving this over, and I will bring my pad right up to the end of this T for Celebrate. And just ink up the word Celebrate there. And we're going to add that to the top of this circle. Okay, now I'm going to clean that off. Now I'm going to grab just a little sticky note here, just the top of a sticky note, and I'm going to cover Celebrate, and I'm only going to put ink on the this time. And I am getting ink on that sticky note, but it's okay because I'm just going to remove that and toss it. And we're going to stamp the. Okay. Come in here, clean this off again. Get that to dry. And then now we're just gonna do season. Okay, just like so. So it's kind of neat when you can take a full length stamp and you can not have to do any kind of cutting or surgery on our stamp, but we can just block off those different words or just set them in their pad, because there's quite a bit of space between the and season, and same with celebrate. So all you have to do is just put ink on those ones, and that center word just cover up with a sticky note, and you're all good with that. We're going to adhere this to our circle. I used to scrapbook a lot. Like, that's what actually got me into paper crafting to begin with, was scrapbooking. And we used to have a scrapbook store right across the street from the apartment that we were renting when we lived up in Oregon. And it was kind of sad because my paycheck went back to that store. And I was like, oh, I'm so scrapped this month for money. Well, because you've got it sitting there in paper. But just the way it was. After I had my first daughter, my oldest daughter, yeah, scrapbooking. Every photo that I took of her had to go into a scrapbook page. Like, I have got albums and albums of my oldest daughter. Anything and everything she did. She went to the park, I scrapbooked it. We went outside and we played in the snow, I scrapbooked it. So yeah, she, out of all three of the kids, have the biggest scrapbook that we have. And then as the kids started getting older and started school, then it was every school like function we went to, we scrapbooked it. And then like sports, we would scrapbook sports, because my daughter was really into soccer. So all of her soccer games got scrapbooked. And then as we had more kids, the scrapbooking kind of took a back seat. I do have my son, his are kind of neat because it was kind of one of those different things where it was like, okay, cool, I get to make boy layouts now. Now, my youngest daughter, she rarely doesn't have much, which is really kind of sad to say. And it does hurt my heart. So I was like, okay, I need to start scrapbooking again. And typically right now I scrapbook my paper pumpkins. But I thought, you know what? I've got a lot of product in here. I've got a lot of paper. I need to start using it. So I was like, I've got so many pictures on my phone. It's ridiculous. I own personal printers. Like photo printers. I'm like, why am I not scrapbooking these photos? She should have just as many memories on these layouts as my other kids. Now, Christmas, I always kind of do like a Christmas thing for the family if we have photos done and that kind of stuff. But Kimberly says, I started scrapbooking when my son was 5. He's 26 now, and mostly I do cards now, unless special events. Now, does your son have kids of his own? Because also another thing you could do with scrapbooking is it's fun to make like pre layouts with like photo mats on there, and you could start doing that for his kids or your daughter's kids. You said your daughter's graduation was last 2 years. So, I mean, like graduation, that's something, I'm sure you probably have photos for that. You can make a layout with that. I know a lot of people get very intimidated by scrapbooking because it's a whole new layout. But the way I see it is, if you can make a card layout, then you can absolutely 100% make a scrapbook layout. because you're just adding the elements from your photos. So in other words, you look at a photo and it's your puppies or it's your kids' graduation, you know, like what you were just saying. Then you know the theme of what your layout's going to be. If you went camping, you know the theme. You have a theme for that. Now with stamping and making cards, your theme is whatever the stamp is, right? Like, you know, you're going to work with snowflakes and pines and this kind of stuff. So it's kind of the same thing as far as scrapbooking is concerned. Okay, so now we're going to mat that. So isn't that cool? Just a different way of using those snowflakes, but now we just use them in like a wreath format. And definitely did some different color combo there. We actually used to do a scrapbook club up in Oregon when I lived up in Sandy, right before we moved down here. One of the girls, it was before I was doing Stampin' Up. One of the girls, she was a Stampin' Up demonstrator, and she would bring her Cricut. We would rent a room at, I think it was actually the VFW there in town. And downstairs was this whole big like open area. And once a month we would all come, we would all bring all of our scraps that we had, all the photos that we knew that we wanted to put in layouts. And she would kind of give us ideas of what we should do with those photos because she's very crafty. So I missed that. And I would like to get back into kind of doing that. So I thought, you know what? I can do some simple layouts with you guys. And, you know, whether you decide to go with it or not, then that's your choice. But as long as the idea and the, you know, the proper way of showing you how to do it is there, then maybe it might spark something and you might want to get into it. Your youngest is your only hope for grandkids. Well, you know what? I've got 2 grandkids and I don't get to see them, and it's tough. And then my son, he really wants to be a dad. Like that's something that him and his partner talk about all the time. And she's not really into wanting kids right now. And that's what I said. I go, you guys are young. I said, you guys shouldn't have to be thinking about doing it right now. And it really makes my son kind of upset because that's like his biggest thing is if she doesn't want to have kids, then he doesn't, I mean, he like he said, it wouldn't be a make or break the relationship, but it would really be something that would weigh on his heart. So I told him, I said, I go, well, these are things in life as growing up. You have to decide, you know, if that's going to make or break a relationship. I said, I go, but there's so many kids out there that need homes and that need, you know, the love of a family. So don't only think of it as if she doesn't want to have babies, that's your only hope. If it's just about her carrying the baby, then I can understand, you know. But if it's more than that, like she just doesn't want to be a mom, then that's completely, you know, different because, you know, both roles would have to be taken on there. Not to say that he couldn't be a single dad, but I don't really want that for him because I know that I would probably get stuck with the baby more than anything, which is fine. I mean, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be there, but I'm done raising babies. I would like to be able to see grandbabies, but then they go home at the end of the day, right? Maybe they stay the night with you a little bit, but okay, so there is what our fantastic card looks like. Now, what I was thinking, I didn't do it on my other card, but I was thinking, you know what? These little pretty peacock might be kind of neat, just like centered in a few. Ooh, I kind of like that. Those are so pretty. I'm telling you guys, these are like the go-to gems. They are fantastic. Okay, so now what are we going to do to the inside of this card? I think I'm going to stamp the larger And I'm just going to kind of hang it off the edge there. Then I'm going to bring in now, I know on the front we use this one on the inside, and so I think I'm going to stay consistent with that. Like so. And then we can add a couple of the pretty peacock, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment in the inside in pretty peacock. So it says celebrate the season, and now I'm going to use it's the most magical time of year on this one. And it's kind of funny when I go back and I look at my scrapbooks that I've created for the kids. I can definitely tell when I was a beginner. And I'm sure you guys all know what I'm talking about when we've all started our crafting journey from where we are now. I mean, there's definitely a different stance on my crafting abilities now compared to then. So it's just kind of neat to go back and look at that and be like, look how much I've like grown in my crafting abilities. It's just kind of neat to go back and be like, huh, those kind of look like crap. But you know what? We all have to start somewhere, right? Hello, Linda. I think I just saw the other Linda pop in here too. Didn't I? Didn't I see her up there? I was talking. And yep, there's Linda J, and we've got Linda H in here. Welcome, welcome, you guys. Better late than never, right? We love seeing you come in. Okay, so there is card number 2. And I'm going to go ahead and clean these off so we can get down to that showstopper. The one that is the one that will be talked about because it is a fantastic card. And that's what we're waiting for, right? We're all waiting for that one card. Okay, so let's do it. All right, let's get out all of our pieces. Now, I've already pre-cut some things because they're kind of delicate and dainty, and they're not the funnest things to play with. But they make a gorgeous card, so we do what we got to do, right? All right, so now we've got another piece. Did I use all white on everyone? Oh, no, that's right. I used Smoky Slate on that one. So we've got a 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to score this at 5 1/2. How is rehab going, Miss Linda? Remember, Linda broke her arm. I think it's been probably about a month and a half, 2 months now. And now she has to do some, so she's out of commission when it comes to card making. But she still shows up in here and she's still seeing all the wonderful things. I'm sure she's going to have to play catch up. But she broke her arm and has been going through rehab. So just seeing how that's going for her. All right, so what we need is we need our card base. We need a piece of Coastal Cabana. This is 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to be our next layer. Then we have a piece of basic white. This is a square. This is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. We have another scrap of Coastal Cabana. This is what we're going to be doing our stamping on. That's going to be our snowflake. And then we've got this gorgeous, if you guys don't have this, you have to add this to your next order. This paper is going to come in so handy for all of your holiday cards. Holiday, winter, New Year's. These sparkly colors are fantastic. If you are a blue fan, this one right here is more of like a soft seafoam, the one that I'm using. But when it's not against these blues, it looks silver. So I'm using it as a silver. You've got this really neat like light blue, and then you've got the, I'm gonna say it's probably like a secret sea, but they call these colors, they have them categorized as blue, dark gray, and soft green. That's what they're calling this. But when it is against something else, I don't see any green going on with it. And even if you do, you're doing it on Coastal Cabana for this one, and it matches anyways. So you'll go with that. So what you need to do first is we need to grab our dies here, and we're going to use this double-sided die with those two little green bows on the end, and you're going to cut that out 3 times. So I just cut a long strip, and then I just cut those out 3 times from that, and then I cut them right in half on that little on that little circle right there. I don't know where I got a color out of circle, but I just cut them right in half. So then that will give me 6 of those. And so this is what they look like. They're very kind of delicate and just really neat. They're gorgeous. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is what we need of those. Aren't those just so pretty? Now wait till we get to this snowflake. All right, so now we're gonna take our our scrap here, because we still have our card layer over there. And with that largest snowflake, we're going to use our Versamark ink, which has our little circle stuck to it. And ink that all up. Now you don't have to do this upside down. I just had that already flipped over, and it's just gonna work easy this way. I'm going to take my little bag of powder, give that a good dusting so we don't pick up fingerprints or anything. And we are going to stamp that right on there. Get that ink transferred to that paper. And come in with our white embossing powder. And we're going to emboss that. Just like that. Let's add a little bit more to this side. Okay, let's grab our heat tool. The grand finale, righty-ho. And grand she is. Okay. That is beautiful. And now what we need to do is we need to grab our Coastal Cabana ink here. So tone on tone. And I'm going to use the, again, the one that looks kind of like the little feathers in there. This one, if you can't see it on that block, where it's not the piney one, but I'm not sure what those are, but yeah. And we're going to with tone on tone, again, in those empty spaces there, we're just going to stamp that right in the center. Isn't that so beautiful. It just adds such a delicate look to the inside of that, but with that darker Coastal Cabana in there. Oh, I just think it's so beautiful. Okay, now we're going to grab the large die for this and line that right up on that embossed snowflake there. Push that down. Now I'm not going to pick that machine up and bring it back over here. I'm just going to go ahead and run this through. I don't know what the heck I've done to my shoulder, but my shoulder the last like month has been killing me, and I've tried to do all these stretching exercises, and I think I need to go see the doctor. I think my I don't know if I've done something to my rotator cuff. I don't know, but my shoulder is in excruciating pain, and I do a lot of lifting when it comes to my daughter, because she can't get up and walk around on her own. She requires me to pick her up pretty much for everything, put her in bed. Now, when my son and my husband are home, they try to do that lifting, but there's, you know, times when they're not home. And so I have to do it to get her up to go to the bathroom, get her up out of bed. And so I think just over the years, it's definitely just taken a toll on my body. Okay, so now with all 6 of these kind of strewn out here, we are going to come in with just a little bit of glue, just right down this little piece here, that connecting piece that would connect those 2 together like that with the circle. Just put a little bit of glue down that. Okay, we're going to take it and we're going to slide it right down in between that open part of that snowflake and just give it a little push. Now we're going to want the 2 sprigs on the sides to be present and showing. Look at those colors together. Oh my holy moly. Isn't that just stunning? Oh, beautiful. Like I said, you would never know that this was light green. It looks silver to me, but I'll take their word for it. Okay, and then just give that a little bit of time to adhere to that because we are trying to adhere the glitter. Then you're just going to keep going around and just keep placing those in that little open space between our 2 large sprigs. This reminds me of like a Christmas tree ornament that I think I used to have. Now I do my Christmas tree, or maybe my mom has it, because she does her Christmas tree in like teal green and yellows and that kind of stuff. Like oceany colors is what her Christmas tree typically is decorated. So maybe she has something that's kind of similar to this. But it very much reminds me of a ornament that I have seen. Okay, and then once all of those are adhered down, just kind of give it another good push. Make sure they're all stuck to the back of that. We're gonna flip this over. Now the back is not pretty, I will let you know. Yuck, right? But we're not gonna look at the back for very long. We're just gonna come in here and add our dimensionals because we're going to give this some pop. Okay, I'm going to move that out of the way for a minute while we get our card front put together here. So we're going to take this white layer and we're just going to adhere that down to the Coastal Cabana layer. So we're just lining up those 3 sides. Then using this ribbon, again, is no longer available. This has been retired, but it is a thin piece of gold. Now on the other side, you've got a little white strip down the inside of it, and I really kind of like that white strip showing up. You could turn it over and just do the whole silver, but since we're doing some white on this card, I'm going to go ahead and go with some of that white showing. And remember, you will get this in your kit. So I'm going to just put that right up against the bottom of that white layer. So with the one side being taped, I'm just going to run this around, keeping that flush. Okay, like so. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our little powder here, and we're going to grab our Versamark. Now I'm going to stamp. Actually, no, I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to stamp Celebrate the Season. Let's clean this off just to make sure that we don't have any gunk on it. Using Versamark, we're going to stamp that, put that right down here in the bottom center. Hello, Sheila. Okay, I'm going to now, again, grabbing our powder, add some of that powder to the bottom there, tap that excess off. Okay, looks good. Let's get the lid on that and get it out of the way. We're going to grab our heat tool. Yes, it has been a long time since you've been able to see the videos. Yeah, I've decided that I was going to go live in both platforms now, just because I know a lot of people don't do like one platform or the other. So this way people can still see these fabulous cards and follow right along with us. Okay, so here comes the wow. So now we're just going to take this and we're going to add it right into this open space. Oh, what do you think? Isn't that just heaven on a card? Oh, just beautiful. Okay, Now we are going to take okay, so wait, it's going to get better. And you might be asking, how could it get any better? Well, just wait. We're going to add these beautiful, pretty peacock in here. And I'm just going to place them in the center of these little, on the little 3 sprig here, there's a little dot at the bottom that I'm just adding this right to that bottom of that dot. Whoops. Oops, I lost the gummy on that one. Get back on there. Is that not just such a clean, crisp looking, beautiful card? Love it. I think I might name this card Snowflakes on the Beach, because that is such a beachy color. Drinking Mai Tais on the beach, watching it snow. What do you think? So is that not gorgeous or what? That's why I was saying this one is the showstopper of today's class. Now just know that you don't have to do this in Coastal Cabana. You could do this in like one of our vibrant pinks. It would probably be gorgeous on like a melon mambo. Oh my word. Even something like a gorgeous grape or berry burst. Oh my gosh. I mean, I can sit here and I can go on and on with you guys, but you get it. Such a gorgeous, gorgeous card. So let's see. What do we want to do in the inside of this? I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to grab Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to grab that large image here. And I'm just going to put some ink on that. I'm just going to grab a little scrap of paper here, just so I don't mess up my whole mat. Okay, I'm going to stamp off once. Then I'm going to stamp right in the center here. Again, getting that light color. And then I'm going to use, because we put those pretty peacock on the center here, I'm going to come in with pretty peacock and I'm going to stamp it's the most magical time of year across the center of that. Just like so. And I think I might actually take a strip. Whoa, as I throw that way across the room. I think I'm going to take a strip. Now I'm just going to do a little strip here of a 1/2 inch by 4 1/4. We're going to add this across the bottom here. Hello, Bonnie. Okay. And there we go. Bring all that gorgeous sparkle into the inside as well. So there is, can you guys see that light snowflake? Isn't that gorgeous? And then there is the front of that card. Stunning. Okay, let me bring out the 3 cards that we have done today. Just so you can see these side by side. Aren't those gorgeous? So again, extra bonus this time with doing this set 2 weeks in a row. I mean, honestly, I could probably go 3 weeks in a row, but I'm not going to do that. I may have, I have another card in the work over here that I might do as a bonus card on my blog later this week using this set because I just can't get enough of it. This set is fantastic. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming in here and spending your evening with me. Don't forget, when you spend $35 or more in my online store this week through the 21st, you will get this fantastic cut paper kit in the mail as a thank you for shopping with me. You will need to have the Delicate Pines stamp set along with these fabulous dies in order to make these cards as I have shown here in this video or tutorial, you may say. And then you can always go back and look in my blog at last week's post and you can see the cards that I created last week that are there, just so you get even more ideas for this wonderful bundle. All right, you guys, have a fabulous rest of your week. Kimberly says to Linda that she has a lot of Coastal Cabana. Absolutely, because it is a fabulous color. I don't use it enough. But then I could probably say that with so many of the colors that I look at and I'm like, oh my gosh, why don't I use that color more? Just like when I look at these colors, the Azure Afternoon, the Lemon Lime Twist, why don't I use them more? They are beautiful together and they must come out and play with us more often. So I'm going to now try to make a conscious, effort to use these colors more often now that I've seen them. I bring them out, I look at them, I see them together, and I'm always like, oh my gosh, those are so beautiful. But then they always get tucked away and I just don't ever get back to them. So I'm going to now make that mental note and try to make more cards with these fantastic colors. So hopefully there will be more beautiful cards to come in the future. I mean, there's always more beautiful cards to come in the future, but showcasing colors that I don't always use. So there you guys go. Have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your week. Happy Monday to you all. I know it's just the beginning, but we can do this. We can make it through, right? So we will see you guys back here on Wednesday. Well, on Facebook, that is, for our mystery stamping. And then hubby will be live with me on Friday the 19th for our cocktails and cards. So we will see you guys then. Take care. Love you all. Bye-bye.